Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a collection of recent articles here, all focusing on the crypto market from early June 2025.
That's right.
And our job is really to unpack them for you. We're going to pull out the key insights directly from this source material you've given us.
Exactly. And these are mostly from CoinMarketCap. So they're looking at, market moves, specific crypto assets, even what individual traders are thinking.
Okay.
And looking through them, early June 2025, it really does seem like a dynamic time. You've got these big macro factors influencing things, but also these really specific individual stories bubbling up.
So the goal is to help you get a quick handle on some of these developments, understand what they mean, why they matter, based on what we're seeing in these pieces.
Precisely. We're here to sort of guide you through it all.
Okay, great. Let's jump right in then. We have a couple articles here centered on XRP. One is, well, it's quite interesting, a guest post. It talks about a trader who claims they have never sold their XRP, ever. And they've set this really ambitious goal to turn that position into $10 million.
Wow. Yeah, what's really insightful there isn't just, the big number, the $10 million.
Right.
It's the conviction. That phrase never sold, that implies a serious long-term belief.
Definitely.
The source kind of uses this trader's story to highlight a specific mindset you sometimes see, right? This high conviction, long haul approach, sticking with something through thick and thin, aiming for that, well, potentially life-changing outcome.
It's a powerful example of belief-driving strategy. You hear about that in these communities.
That's perspective that's definitely out there.
But then sort of contrasting that, another piece points out that XRP's price itself, well, it's seeing quite a bit of volatility right now in June 2025.
Right.
Analysts in that source are looking at key resistance levels, discussing the general market feeling around it.
And this is where putting the sources together gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because you have that story of just unwavering personal belief, the $10 million target. But then the other article brings in the market reality.
The technicals.
Exactly. Analysts focusing on technical indicators like resistance levels, these price points where, selling pressure might kick in and push the price down.
So a real tension there.
Yeah, the tension between that individual's huge goal and the actual market, which is grappling with volatility and these technical hurdles. It really highlights the different ways people look at an asset, personal belief versus market dynamics and cold, hard data.
Okay, shifting gears quite a bit now. There's an article zeroing in on a really high-stakes Bitcoin trade.
Ah, yes, the leveraged one.
That's the one. The source mentions a trader, James Wynn, who reportedly opened a 40x leveraged long position on Bitcoin.
40 times. I mean, that's where you really see the speculative side of the market in action.
Definitely high risk.
Extremely. A 40x leveraged long. Basically, he's betting with borrowed funds, amplifying potential gains 40 times. But, and this is the crucial part, potential losses are amplified just as much.
Right. The article points out it's causing quite a stir, precisely because of that extreme risk. It suggests even a small price move against his bet could trigger liquidation.
Meaning the exchange just closes his position automatically.
Exactly. Because his margin, his initial deposit, can't cover the potential losses anymore. So this specific example from the sources really underlines that these high-octane, potentially market-moving strategies are definitely happening.
It certainly shows a significant appetite for risk out there. Yeah. Okay, moving from individual trades to the big corporate players. Tether CEO Paolo Ardoino. He apparently made some interesting comments, according to one source, dismissing the idea of Tether going public anytime soon, especially after their competitor, Circle, completed its IPO.
Yeah, and what's really striking, as the source quotes him, is his view on valuation.
What did he say?
He reportedly said a $515 billion valuation for Tether would be, and I quote, a bit bearish.
$500 billion is bearish. Think about that, $515 billion. An absolutely astronomical figure. And the head of Tether apparently views it as, well, on the low side.
That gives you some insight.
Incredible insight, right? Into the scale they believe they're operating at and their internal confidence and their market position, their future growth. It's a direct counter to a competitor's move and a very clear signal of how they see themselves dominant and worth far more than even $500 billion, at least in their view.
Wow, that valuation comment alone is something else. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Something mentioned across several sources. The crypto market seems to be really focused on the upcoming US CPI data release.
Yes. This connects crypto directly to, well, traditional finance and macroeconomics. It's a key link.
How so?
Well, the sources highlight that the consumer price index data, it measures inflation, right?
Right.
It's crucial because it heavily influences what the Federal Reserve might do with interest rates.
Okay, makes sense.
And those rate decisions ripple outwards. They affect the cost of borrowing money, how much risk investors are willing to take globally, including appetite for assets like crypto.
So the fact that crypto traders are watching U.S. economic data so closely.
As these sources show, yeah, it's just a powerful reminder of how interconnected this market really is with those external financial forces. It doesn't exist in a vacuum.
So just to recap where we are, we've got individual traders with huge conviction, others making these massive leverage bets, huge stablecoin players talking colossal valuations, and the whole market watching economic indicators.
Side mix.
The sources also mention specific altcoins. One article calls June 2025 a potentially pivotal month for altcoin movements.
Yes, and importantly, the sources seem to emphasize it's not just about, speculative hype.
Oh.
They stress that the altcoins getting attention are showing real signals. Things like ongoing development, growing ecosystems, actual tangible progress being made.
Any specific examples mentioned?
Yeah, the article specifically calls out BlockDAG, Cosmos, Aptos, and OFF. These are highlighted in the sources for those kinds of fundamental reasons.
So it suggests that people are looking beyond just the short-term pump?
It suggests that, yes,
What?
while hype is always a factor, analysts and maybe smarter investors are also looking for, substance, long-term viability, especially in the altcoin space right now.
Okay. And one last specific mention. SUI. Its situation is framed as being after hack fallout.
Right.
The source notes that sentiment is kind of mixed about its price prediction for 2026 following whatever this event was.
And this point really illustrates something else. How specific project-level events like a security incident or its aftermath, the fallout as they call it,
Yeah.
how that can inject significant uncertainty. It directly impacts that one asset's outlook, regardless of broader market trends or what other altcoins might be doing.
So the mixed sentiment shows the market's still figuring it out.
It's exactly. Still processing the long-term implications of whatever happened. And that creates different opinions on price, even among people who follow it closely.
Yeah.
It's quite a contrast to those fundamentals-driven altcoins we just talked about. Shows the different pressures at play.
Wow. Okay, that really was a whirlwind tour through a seemingly busy period. We've touched on everything from that individual XRP trader's incredible conviction and huge target.
Right. Alongside the coin's actual volatility.
So the sheer risk involved in that 40x Bitcoin leverage play. Then Tether CEO dismissing that massive valuation as bearish.
Quite the statement.
Understanding why the whole market's watching US CPI data. And then looking at altcoins, some drawing attention for fundamental progress, others like SUI facing uncertainty after specific setbacks.
Yeah, these sources together, they really paint a fascinating picture of the crypto market in early June 2025. It's clearly a landscape being shaped by this powerful mix of forces.
Such different forces, too.
Totally. You've got the deep-seated belief and the risk-taking of individuals. You have the strategic moves and sheer scale of corporate giants like Tether, then the undeniable influence of global economic indicators, and of course the specific performance and challenges of individual projects within the ecosystem. It's all churning together.
Exactly. And it really leaves you with something to think about, doesn't it? As you process all this, when you see the market pulled in so many directions by individual traders making these bold personal bets aiming for millions, by the sort of systemic risk of high leverage, by the decisions of these multi-billion-dollar companies, all against the backdrop of global data like CPI, what does that tell you about just how complex the forces driving crypto are right now?
It's incredibly complex.
And maybe think about this. Considering all these different drivers, the individual plays, the corporate strategies, the macro factors, the project specifics, which type of force do you think ultimately has the biggest influence on where the market heads next? Something to mull over.